Usually, I lower it by about 5 millimeters.
Bro, what kind of sociopathic paranoia is this? This is the most dramatic, melodramatic chips eating scene of all time. Wow. This is what I mean. Masked psychopathy. Definition right here. He's masking psychopathy by perfectly mimicking the behaviors of non-psychopath. And he understands himself so well, and he has this exceptional perceptions of what an ordinary person would act like. And this is the reason why so many psychopaths never get caught, because they can perfectly mimic the behaviors and even fine-tune and tweak their behavior patterns. Hello friends, my name is Benoit Kim, a UPenn educated psychotherapist. In today's video, you can expect to learn about predatory cognition, masked psychopathy, the importance of behavior observation, neurodivergent traits, and much, much more. And also, just a heads up, I will be reacting to Death Note episode 8 in dub due to a lot of messages and emails saying that it will be highly conducive for me to analyze their tonality, some of the nuances I might have missed listening to sub. And please do not revolt, please bear with me, please do not keep watching. This is just an experiment just for this episode because I did want to check out the other side, because I have heard countlessly by many viewers how Death Note dub might be one of the greatest there ever is. And since I've been reacting to sub for the last 7 episodes, I thought it might be fitting to just give it one try for this episode, most likely only. So please do not revolt, please forgive me, but I hope you enjoy my analysis nonetheless. Assassination Zero is the sponsor of today's video. Join our sponsor tier to become a sponsor for my videos as well. Shout out to the best patron family. Let's tune in. Today's video or today's episode is called Glare. And as you know, I am the king of overthinking and overanalysis. So here comes my attempt since the get-go. If we think about what glare is, the verb glare usually has some sort of a negative connotation. We tend to glare at those people either side-eyeing or glaring people through this lens of judgment. We typically only glare at people that we judge. And I think glare in this case is double meaning. I think glare symbolizes some sort of a surveillance, probably either by L or light. Because as we've seen in the last episode, RIP to Ray's fiance, she, after unknowingly cornering and psychologically disposing Light, eventually fell prey to his psychopathic tactics. And she ended up dying through this suicide, through the Death Note writing. So now back to the chessboard analogy. We went from a 3-player dynamic to 2, Light and L. So I think here, glare is symbolizing some sort of a surveillance tactics. I think L is either surveilling or judging Light, and Light is either counter-surveilling and also counteracting to L's tactics, whatever that may be. Because L has been playing catch-up ever since he exposed himself to the Kira's investigation team. So we'll see what glare implies. But it's usually negative in a lot of the usages.
That was footage from surveillance cameras at the station.
Oh wow, dub is very different. Interesting.
On here.
Let's see the following scenes again. Ray Penber passing the ticket.
Alright, this is definitely going to get some used to. Please bear with me guys for this episode.
Okay. Let's see.
I think it's next to that.
Oh, here it is.
So based on the records I have here, Ray Penber comes through the west entrance of Shinjuku Station at 3:11 p.m.
They're tracking Ray's sequences.
He was following someone at that time. I think it's going to be very difficult for us.
What is
to
that,
find
matcha
real
ice cream?
conclusions from this blurry video.
Watari,
Exactly
aka
4:40
L's butler.
Oh, thank you very much, Watari. And at 4:42 p.m., he exits the train at Tokyo Station and dies on the platform.
They're tracking every single sequence, frame by frame.
I'm sorry, what do you find strange?
Yeah, what is it? Did you notice something?
We know that Ray Penber got on the train, and then an hour and a half later he got off and died on the platform. But the Yamanote line only takes an hour to complete its circuit. And more importantly, there's the envelope.
What do you mean?
Enveloped. The physical manifestations of manipulation and control.
It's like an envelope when he passes through the ticket gate.
That astute
It's there
observation.
under his arm. But in the footage right before his death, it's gone. I can't believe you actually caught that.
It is amazing. Wow.
This list of his personal effects.
Which means it was left on the train. And if you watch closely at the very end here,
Ray's looking at
seems
someone.
like he's straining to look inside the.
Yup.
See right here.
Looking
If
at
that's the case, do you think it could mean
Kira.
something?
Wouldn't it be interesting if Kira was on that train?
It's impossible.
I
dude.
admit I find it hard to believe as
Goosebumps.
well.
L is nuts.
There's no reason for Kira to come to the scene of his own.
The narcissistic, grandiose gesture. Quick pause while everyone is slurping their matcha ice cream provided by L's butler, Watari, aka Bruce Wayne's butler. So since the get-go, here's what I'm appreciating about dub version. Again, please do not revolt, guys, please. It is easier for me to gauge and analyze the tonality and tonations of characters. Because when I'm watching sub, of course I am team sub, there are more nuances. The originals tend to be the best. Of course, as many people suggested, dub for Death Note is highly appraised and highly recognized as one of the best, period. I want to begin by providing additional diagnosis and psychoanalysis of L. As I talked about for my speculation, I provided 2 diagnoses to L. I won't go deep into it, but first, OCPD, and second, level 1 ASD. Level 1 autism spectrum disorder. And here, based on L's tonation, flat affect, definition right here. He is always emotionally or facially flat affect, clinically speaking. His tonation also does not fluctuate. It's very monotone. If you saw the stark contrast between one of the detectives, he was carrying envelope, but it's no more. And then L is extremely calm, very unfluctuating tonation. That's flat affect. That further solidifies my diagnosis that L most likely resides somewhere along the neurodivergence or spectrum. So dub does allow me to gauge into the flat tonations of L, which I've missed for the last 7 episodes. Second, I want to talk about behavior observation. So L is extremely interesting. As we all agree, L is extremely intelligent, one of the best detectives in this Death Note world setting, period. But there are 2 approaches to catching criminals. One, being an empiricist, definition right here, based on empirical evidence, aka hard proof. Second, deduction. Deduction does not always rely on hard proof, rather speculation or probability. And based on his astute observation of sequences time frame by time frame of Ray, it further solidifies that L is more of a highly intellectual detective based on probability of deduction versus empiricist who relies on hard proof. And this is another fun fact. In the criminal profiling and criminal psychology realm, oftentimes hard proof is hard to get by. A lot of the evidences are circumstantial, especially dealing with highly organized, high IQ offenders of psychopath and sociopath, which 100% Kira is of one. So a lot of times it's hard to have empirical evidence and hard proof because they're extremely smart, as we've seen with Light. So a lot of times in the criminal psychology realm and criminal profilers realm and their expertise, a lot of times it requires high probability of deductions versus hard proof. And all these behavior observation to kickstart today's episode solidifies that L is just that. But I do appreciate all the people urging me to check out dub version at least one time because, like I said, tonations and tonality and some of the, auditory nuances, it's hard for me to catch on watching sub, as I've iterated in the introduction, because I have to be so hyper focused with the plot since I'm watching this for the first time and also reading subtitles. So there are inevitably things I miss. So dub does liberate me from some of my fixations so I can focus on some of the other subtle aspects. So again, I appreciate you bearing with me in this episode. But it's definitely different.
What's going on with you, Light? You haven't stopped writing criminals.
Oh, Yoke's dub is interesting.
Trying to prove. I don't see the point in writing these names with.
He sounds so raspy, like paper sands. Very sandy.
Suppose the son of the detective superintendent of the NPA was hospitalized. If criminals stopped dying at the same time, it wouldn't be difficult to connect the two. Are you sure that I can use any date as long as it's before the end of a person's predetermined lifespan?
Well, I can't guarantee it because we Shinigami don't normally work that way.
He's trying to verify his method with Yoke.
Their lifespan should work.
I really can't count on you, can I?
So Yoke here solidifies his unbiased position. Again, like I talked about previously, he's unbiased in terms of he's not for or against Light Yagami. He is biased in the sense that he is doing whatever he wants, whatever it takes to minimize his boredom. He's giving a very wishy-washy answer to Light's inquiry. Second, another thing, again, a lot of viewers pointed out that listening to or watching in dub it might be more fitting for Light Yagami's age. Again, for the original, which sounds great, Light Yagami sounds a little bit older, more mature, more sociopathic, I suppose. But for a dub, he sounds younger. He does sound more like a high school student in the dub version. And Yoke, I do appreciate Yoke's dub probably the most compared to sub because he sounds extremely raspy. It's very dry. There's not a lot of emotions behind it. It's very neutral and very unpleasant, which is what I would imagine what a Shigami or a God of Death sounds like. So again, dub and sub, I think they each have their own perks.
You got that right.
You got that right.
Yes, would you please hold for a moment? Ryuzaki
I love Watari's voice.
Kita at the NPA. He says he's on the phone with someone from the tip line who has information for us.
Right. Then give Yukita the number for line 5 and ask him to have the informant call that line instead. It'll be safer.
Okay, informant. Who's the informant?
Matsuda, it's okay for you to turn on your cell phone now. Actually, please turn it on right away.
Sure.
Why did L change his stance about phone? Oh, what's going on?
Yes, this is Suzuki, head of Kira's Investigation Public Information Division. Ray Pember's fiance.
Another quick pause. Going back to my level 1 ASD or neurodivergence diagnosis for L. L literally snatched phone out of the young detective, right? So again, he lacks social cues. Japanese is extremely conservative and hyper respectful and conformative culture. No one would dare to snatch a phone out of another person's hands. Doesn't matter if you know them or not. And they're not friends. They're professional colleagues. And we saw the shock facial expressions of the young detective after L snatched the phone out of his hands. Again, L lacks social cues. And he doesn't really care about conforming to established social norms. Like respect. Like ask him to hand you the phone versus snatching it out of his hands forcibly. So again, he's definitely, his traits of neurodivergence is displaying more and more.
Naomi Misora. Heard that name before.
Who's telling them about Ray's fiance?
So it's her.
He remembers working with her a few years ago. Oh, she's from LA.
Under me. I guess she must have come to Japan with her fiance.
Damn, I'm recording this out of LA and Ray's fiance is from LA.
Fiance.
RIP.
I'm sure that anyone in her situation would be pretty depressed. Was it suicide?
No, the Naomi Misora I knew was strong. Not to mention she was also...
Again, Kira's Death Note executions was followed perfectly.
Catch Kira. It appears she came to Japan.
Wow, L's memories are amazing. I'm sure he's worked with a lot of people.
That's the case. Did Kira manage to get
Wow.
her first?
L, are you watching me right now, dude? Is L watching me? What is going on? How does he know?
In particular, he was assigned to 2 police officers and those closest to him.
Very well. Who are these two individuals he was investigating?
Chief Yagami sounds interesting with his dub.
Detective Superintendent Yagami and their families. At this stage, I'd like to place wiretaps and surveillance cameras in both.
Wow.
I have to make sure there's no evidence left on this computer, just in case someone goes through it.
Oh, a lot has happened. So some mysterious unknown informants provided clues and information about Ray's fiance. And L, again, through his high probabilistic deduction, without hard proof necessarily, was able to deduce and suspect that did Kira get to Ray's fiance first? And as we know, he did. Secondly, he has come a really long way, as I talked about in the previous episode, with rapport building and establishing trust with his investigation team. He is in a very, very transparent way telling Chief Yagami, remember, he's a chief, that I'm going to place surveillance and and wiretapping in both of the households to rule out every potential suspect. And here's what really separates L from most people. Remember the concept of cognitive biases that I talked about in the earlier episodes when L pleaded the original pre-trimmed investigation team that, hey, please do not rule out the possibility that Kira might be a high school student. Because of his neurodivergence traits, he's less prone to biases, social norm, conformity of the societal expectations, and so on. And that's why he's like, I don't care if you're Chief Yagami. Of course, you are not Kira. He know that because he already tapped and did some sort of a surveillance in the previous episode. But he hasn't wiretapped his family yet. So because he does not go against the social norms, he has no fear, no hesitation. But here I want to give a shout out to L for being so transparent and letting Chief Yagami know that, hey, I'm going to wiretap and surveillance both households. So he is doing his due diligence. And last thing I will say before closing out my analysis of the segments is Light Yagami. So I've seen some of these traits of his paranoia tendency, definition right here. He's very paranoid. He's always double thinking, triple thinking every move he makes. And a lot of people are paranoia is very common in a lot of delusional schizophrenia, a lot of the severe mental illnesses that I actually also work with some of my clients. But for Light Yagami, he's delusional in terms of grandiosity, in terms of his savior complex and his twisted moral position. But he's not delusional in a sense of paranoia. He's not paranoid out of anxiety as most people are. He is paranoid out of being methodical and being meticulous because he is 3, 4, 5 moves ahead in everything he does. That's why in this case, we can see him going through his computers, deleting and erasing any traces of hacking to make sure that he does not get caught. He's making sure that he left no digital footprints or paper trails after eliminating Ray's fiance, the only person who had the clue. But now no one has a clue anymore. Although we see that L is catching up with his behavioral observation without hard proof. So L is paranoid, not in terms of delusional anxiousness sense, but he's paranoid because he's very methodical. That's also another trait of highly organized psychopath offenders.
Oh, I just have to hide these clippings from the death note in here.
It seems like you're pretty skilled with your hands. I bet you're pretty popular with the girls, aren't you?
Yo, yoke. All right.
Count. I'm guessing
That's some
you're
hentai
not that
comment.
Popular, are you?
This is not really related, but how does your yoke know the concept of being popular with girls and also romance? Can they fathom or conceptualize the concept of romance and intimacy? Or did he learn that from observing humans and for being around seemingly forever? So I'm sure gods of death can't have romantic relationships. And I'm sure they're gender neutral. There's no girl shigamis and male shigamis. So how does he know? And why did he make that comment? Is he just small talking with Light when Light's doing something serious? Again, I'm sure he's driven by boredom because that's the only intrinsic motivation for yoke. But yeah, how does he know the concept of romance and popularity with girls? Is it just through proxy observation of humans?
I don't
Interesting.
see how you could even consider this. If this got out, we'd have a civil rights scandal on our hands. We'd all lose our jobs.
Oh, because he's surveilling civilians.
But you wouldn't risk your jobs?
That's true.
Ryuzaki, what are the odds that Kira's
That's
in
true.
one of those households?
Maybe 10%.
See? Probabilistic detection.
I'm sorry, but it's not worth the risk.
No, of all the people we've investigated so far, not one of them seemed even the least bit suspicious. Even if there's only a 1% chance
That's true. 5% is pretty high. To catch someone like Kira?
to learn my family is under suspicion. Having said that, just go ahead with it.
Wow, dude, Chief Yagami is amazing, dude. Respect. At all costs. Don't miss the bathroom.
Come on, Chief. You don't have to agree to this.
Yes, he's right. Think about your family. You have a wife and daughter at home, don't you?
Yes, I'm well aware of that fact, but there is no point in doing any of this if we can't be
That's
thorough.
true.
Now I suggest you keep quiet.
So we just saw the first time that Chief Yagami lost his composure. Definition right here, emotional reactivity. He reacted out of his emotions of frustration, probably guilt, because now he's voluntarily putting his daughter and his wife and his son under surveillance for L. I mean, Light Yagami, as we know, is Kira. But from Chief Yagami, a father's perspective, surveilling son is, sure, it is taboo, but it's not as taboo as putting a wife and a daughter. Of course, because the gender differences, their privacy, it's highly taboo and forbidden upon in whatever society. In Japan, I don't know if you guys know, Japan has a lot of perversive illegal practices. And a lot of Asian countries like Japan and Korea have been under high scrutiny, and they've been cracking down on illegal crimes of secret taping, like putting secret cameras in like bathrooms and shower and whatever stalls to videotape women without their consent. So extremely illegal, and it's been on the news a lot in the last few years. So culturally speaking, this is extremely frowned upon, and again, highly illegal. That's why Chief Yagami is very stressed, acutely so, because he knows he's doing something A, illegal, and B, unethical. But again, like what Elle said poignantly, if you guys are willing to put your lives and the livelihood of yourselves and your families and everything on the line, can you not even cross this line of risking your jobs? And everyone was speechless. And the moment where Chief Yagami gave him consent, everyone else is like, sure. Because this is Chief Yagami's household being surveillance, not everyone else, right? But here's my question though. We've seen Light Yagami crossing countless moral and legal lines to become the psychopath as full-blown as he is today. But now we're seeing L also crossing some moral boundaries. We're seeing L also crossing some legal and ethical boundaries, like surveilling civilians, most likely innocent people with a 5 to 10% probability. So he's also crossing lines. So I wonder, what's the fine line for L? Like, when is he willing to stop? Or is he also at a point where whatever it takes to put Kira? But it's also interesting to finally seeing L stepping out of his moral rigidity and blurring his own ethical boundaries for the sake of justice, which is exactly the plot and how Light Yagami slowly and rapidly is a juxtaposition. How progressively Light transitioned from a innocent but nihilistic and highly intellectual high school student to this psychopathic Kira. So very interesting to see. So L is also desperate.
Only he and I will conduct surveillance of their home. What, Eddie? How long will it take to prepare the wiretaps
that makes
and
sense.
cameras we need?
One more thing for L. There's another sign and characteristic for L to suggest that he's on neurodivergence and spectrum of level 1 ASD, because he doesn't care about social cues. Male, female, their private parts, privacy, hentai, what is that? I'm just doing this to do my job, whatever it takes. I'm pretty sure the thought of the tabooness and the social awkwardness of surveilling as a non-family member to spy on Chief Yagami's daughter and his wife probably never crossed his mind. He's like, I'm just doing my job. This is what it takes to put Kira to justice. Lack of social cues and disregard of social norms. See, we saw Chief Yagami's on his back because he's also guilty and feeling bad.
What? No one's home yet. I'm home.
Sounds like a normal, innocent high school student. So the surveillance is already done. Oh, does he know already? Oh, that means
I don't think anyone else is in.
that paper, so nobody came in.
Come on, it's been a while. You listening?
Or did someone put that white paper back? So the fact that Light Yagami is not responding or talking to Yoke suggests that he already knows that someone came into his room. I'm guessing that the paper thing, someone put it back and it's not in the right position. He put it originally. It's a pretty common counter surveillance tactic to leave specific clues so that when someone moves or comes into your room, you know that it's been intruded upon. How do we know that? Because Light's not talking to your yoke. And we saw that freeze in his eyes and some sort of a fleeting thoughts with the camera zooming in.
Hey, Light.
See, he's not talking.
I don't believe it. I never knew he went to such great lengths. What could he be hiding in there that he doesn't want anyone else?
See?
17-year-old kid, I wouldn't say this kind of behavior is particular.
That's true.
When I was his age, I did strange things too.
How old is L? It's kind of hard to tell his age, huh?
Information to my family. Besides,
That's true.
I don't get to see them too often these days. And
Oh.
usually as soon as I get
Poor Chief Yagami, he's under so much stress and so much pressure, also sleep deprived.
Where exactly are we going?
He left. He's still not talking.
Ignore me when I'm talking to you, or I'll get mad.
Is your yoke capable of being mad? Bro, you're a Shigami.
I think we're safe. Listen to
Yoke's a troll.
the possibility that there are wiretaps and maybe surveillance cameras hidden throughout my house.
Really? But that piece of paper was still in your door, wasn't it?
Wrong position.
True, but I left the paper in the door in a way that it would be obvious to anyone entering the room. The real test is
Oh, because it was too obvious.
it returns to a horizontal position and it won't go any higher than that. But whenever I close the door, I adjust it slightly. Instead of letting it sit horizontally, I lower it by about 5 millimeters.
Bro, what kind of sociopathic paranoia is this? This verifies what I said earlier. He's methodical, meticulous paranoia.
Mechanical pencil head in place as well.
So what do you do with it?
It goes on the hinge. After I close the door, I take the pencil lead and rest it on the hinge in such a way that it will break if the door happens to be opened by anyone.
How many countermeasures did Lights place? I mean, it makes sense. That's where you place your death notes.
Now that you mention it, I do remember that.
First the door handle, then the lead. I know
Triple
someone's in
firewall.
today.
Maybe it was your mother.
My family wouldn't have noticed the piece of paper. What's suspicious is that someone took the time to put it back in the door.
Because most detectives will notice that little pretty obvious paper clip.
About, are you buying a book about wiretaps and surveillance so you can figure this mess out?
By the way, Ryuk, what about your app?
Apples? That's right, surveillance cameras. Once the apple's in my mouth, no one can see it. But while I'm holding it, it looks like it's floating.
I thought so. You told me that Shinigami can't die, so I guess it won't kill you to stop eating apples for a while.
Don't you think that's a bit much? Come on. I never told you this, but apples are to me what cigarettes and alcohol are to humans.
So Yoke or Shigamis also fall prey to addiction.
My body gets all twisted. I do handstands.
Withdrawals.
It's not pretty.
I don't need to see that.
I know.
Okay, here's the thing. Unfortunately, I already gave Elle the hint that Shinigami love apples, so I just can't afford to take the risk. If it's so important for you to eat apples, you'll have to find out where all the cameras are hidden.
Wow, you freaking Lights is using Yoke under his intrinsic motivation of apples and addiction.
Yeah, a camera search.
Dude, Light, I mean, gotta pay respect where it's due. Light, you are so impressive as a psychopath. You are now manipulating Yoke, a god of death, to do dirty work for you by finding all the cameras because he just told you that he loves apples and he's addicted to apples. So he is letting Yoke do all the dirty work by finding where all the surveillance tapes are so that Yoke can eat apple. But here's my real question to Yoke. Bro, you are a god of death. Are you not powerful enough to make apple invisible? But you're telling me when you pick up an apple and eat it, humans can see it? That's a pretty pathetic lack of superpower, dude. Like, you can't even make it invisible. You can't even create some sort of a visual distortion field where nobody can see you eating apples and you can see apples in absolute peace. Apparently not. And this goes back to the name of Light Yagami. Light Yagami, as many viewers suggested, means night god. And as I talked about, it represents and symbolizes false godhood because Light is not a real god. He's a narcissistic person who struggles with savior complex, a false god. Because real God is not subjugated and limited to night, as I analyzed previously. But here, going a step further, even Shigami like Yoke is ultimately a false god. Because a real God will not struggle with addictions. A real God will not care about eating apples, even though I am team apples. I love apples. An apple a day keeps the doctors away, right? So we're seeing this dynamic, this duel of Light Yagami, a false night god, and Shigami, or yoke, another false god. Very interesting. Oh, whoa. Did not see that coming. Okay. Oh, he's doing all this false pretenses.
I have to find the cameras.
Quick pause. If you look at the scene where I pause, yokes are not yoke. Light Yagami's eyes, there's no lust. There's no excitement. He's not enamored by this hentai magazine. He doesn't care. All of this is a front. It's an act. It's to show L and his father, Chief Yagami, that he's an ordinary, yes, highly intelligent, but ordinary high school student, a 17-year-old who struggle with lust. So even though he's looking at this hentai magazine, his eyes is complete flat, no emotion, right? All of this is his counter surveillance tactic, which is what a lot of high IQ psychopaths are extremely good at. This is what I mean. Masked psychopathy, definition right here. He's masking psychopathy by perfectly mimicking the behaviors of non-psychopath. And he understands himself so well, and he has this exceptional perceptions of what an ordinary person would act like. And this is the reason why so many psychopaths never get caught, because they can perfectly mimic the behaviors and even fine-tune and tweak their behavior patterns. So although L and Chief Yagami think they have an upper hand by secretly wiretapping and surveilling the household, little to their knowledge, through Yoke's help and Kira's triple firewall, everything is a front, everything is a lie. It's nothing but a facade. Wow. Light is once again upper hands. See? He's doing what is considered socially normal.
Too obvious. The only reason he didn't want anyone in his room was because he had his magazine.
L, are you watching me? Dude, what is going on, L? How do you know this? I feel like I'm being surveillanced and taped by L, dude. Man.
Surveillance cameras in your house and the deputy director's house.
I found a camera in the air conditioner.
So they really put cameras in here. They must have bugged the places.
Bro, who watches hentai magazine like that? He should be beating his meat. You know what I mean? Like, what is it? Just
Which means
like,
they've narrowed down their list of suspects. By now,
it's like reading manga or manhwa or something, dude. It's so fake.
trouble. Man, these covers mislead you all the time. No. Given the situation, it's safer if I just assume I'm their prime suspect and the only one being watched. It'll be okay. Luckily, I prepared for this.
What the? Archaeological, whatever, world studies.
Hey, Light! Come on! Dinner's ready!
I love you.
Whoa, what is... Oh, I thought that was Light for a second. Whoa, anime watching anime. Animeception?
Hideki Ryuga! I swear he's perfect! How come no one in my class
Japanese
is
drama,
that?
like K-drama.
Saw you. Just eat your dinner.
I'll eat later.
Hello, Mr. Aizawa. Are the Kitamuras watching television now?
Yes. He's not home, but the other four are watching while they eat dinner. It's Channel 4.
What?
It must be the same
Please
J-drama.
contact the broadcasters and tell them to play our message.
Very well. Understood.
That's right. My parents met
Huh?
George Martin.
What's this?
What is this?
ICPO? They're saying that in response to the Kira murders, Interpol has decided to dispatch a force of 1,500 investigators to Japan.
Oh, this is the false ploy that L talked about a while ago.
1,500 investigators? Whoa.
That is a lot.
Chances are they've got cameras in the living room as well. Regardless of whether this news is real or not, it's obvious they're just trying to evoke reaction from me.
Dude.
Now, this is the exact same trick he used last time. The ICPO sure is stupid.
Huh?
I mean, there's no point in making this announcement. If they're gonna send all these people here to investigate, shouldn't they keep it a secret?
Even the FBI agents who were secretly investigating were killed by Kira. Why would this be any different? If you ask me, this is nothing more than a desperate attempt to shock Kira in the hopes that he'll reveal himself somehow. Quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if Kira sees right through this.
Your son's clever, isn't he?
Well, yes.
Thanks for dinner, Mom.
Another quick pause. Dude, oh, I feel bad for L, dude. So Kira is so many moves ahead. I lost count, dude. I think the last episode he was 3-4 moves ahead. I think now he's at least 5 moves ahead of L. His counter surveillance tactics are deepening, and he's truly created this perfect, almost like a play. It's almost like he's in this soapbox, but inside the box, which L and Chief Yagami thought they were watching Light in this soapbox, but it's a reverse soapbox. Light is reverse watching Chief Yagami and L in actuality. Everything's a front. And he knew the ploy and the tactic of L since the get-go with this fake news announcement. So everything he's doing is through the perspective of reverse psychology. It's not once, but it's reverse square psychology. He's doing everything through the intention of L and Chief Yagami by anticipation of what he thinks the people want to see and giving him that. So he's actually not tweaking or modifying his behaviors because L uses his highly probabilistic detections through behavior observation, as I alluded to earlier. So he's doing as if he is a highly intelligent high school student. Even though I think the Hentai magazine move was pretty fake by him, but L is impressed because, oh, your son is pretty smart, isn't he? So all of this is a manufactured play. It's a soap opera that's actually allowing Lights to get away unscathed, even though he's the one being surveillanced against. Extremely brilliant and organized and criminal of Lights.
You're
Very
eating
impressive.
a bag of chips? You just had dinner. Your good looks are gonna go down the drain if you keep that up.
It's a late night snack for studying.
I think that's it, Light. I found every camera they put in the... It's a little bit complicated, so listen up. There's nothing I hate more than explaining something twice.
Is Yoke actually tired, or is this all part of his boredom? Oh,
Sure are a lot
damn,
of
there's so
cameras in
many
this
cameras.
room. I counted
Wow.
64 in total. I guess whoever put them here expected you to at least...
64.
Mom's about putting a death row inmate in his place when he declared war on me.
True.
It's pretty clear he doesn't know.
That's exactly what I said. Where is his boundaries?
Obviously, that's impossible now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I guess you can't talk in here. But we'd better discuss this outside tomorrow.
Okay, I think I'm getting the hang of this now. Judging by the number of cameras he's planted, he's planning to make a decision.
64 cameras? Wow.
But it won't be that easy with me, L. This is the closest you'll get.
Whoa, what is this dramatic chips opening? Are we about to see some mukbang? Chips eating action? What's going on? Dude, yolks? Oh, what is that? What's inside the bag of chips?
Up so the criminals will continue to die over the next 3 weeks.
Do you see that glare in that chips? What do you put in the bag of chips?
What's in a
Bag of chips.
Therefore, to avoid
What is Ryuk
suspicion,
doing, dude?
L needs to see that criminals whose names are being broadcast continue to die while I have no access to that information.
Oh, the symptoms are stopping.
Is he gonna watch news secretly in the bag of chips or something? Oh, I love this dramatic music. And Yoke's going through withdrawal with his Shigami dance in the back.
While masquerading as a typical high school student studying for his entrance.
Yo, I called it. Dude, he's literally watching news in a bag of chips.
I'll solve equations with my right hand and write names with my left.
Lai can write using both of his hands?
I'll take a potato chip and eat it.
This is the most dramatic, melodramatic chips eating scene of all time. Wow. Can we talk about how freaking... I think we need a new word within the English language that is tier above impressive. Remarkable, exceptional, extraordinary. I don't know. Lai Yagami is leaning into and actually utilizing the fact that he's being surveillanced against, because he knows that they don't know, right? And L and Chief Yagami, they've lowered their guard because they're under the assumption that Light doesn't know that he's being surveillance against, at least not to the degree and extensions of 64 cameras. So he uses a bag of chips, puts a mini TV watching news as I suspected, because I saw that little glare reflections, which is from like a screen earlier. And he's using his left hand to write names of inmates to get him off this suspect list because he's being watched. Therefore, he's not doing anything to kill this inmates. Makes sense. So he's doing that with his left hands. And he's also eating chips at the same time in a very, very melodramatic sense, almost comical, and using his right hands to problem solving and doing homework. He's truly exceptionally remarkable, unbelievable. And the last thing I'll say to close on my analysis is the symbolism. Every episode so far, there has been some sort of a physical object, which is the manifestation of his manipulations and symbolism. I think in this episode, the bag of chips is the object of symbol. Chips, when we think about it, it's very innocent. It's innocuous. Most people love chips. I'm a huge savory chips dude, right? It's a snack. It's so innocent. But within that innocence of bag of chips lies the absolute cruelty and evil of murder. He's killing people by being concealed in a bag of chips. So in other words, the bag of chips symbolizes innocent concealment of killing, the vessel of killing. And it's another layer of a masked psychopathy and a masked manipulation. So L and Chief Yagami foolishly thought that they are the ones in upper hands by surveilling the household of Chief Yagami. But in reality, Chief Yagami and L is actually being counter surveillance and Elko being watched through the orchestrations and manipulations of Kira. Unbelievable.
And just goes back to studying without turning on the TV or his computer?
It's because the entrance exams are 5 days away.
I mean, yeah, who studies with news on?
A criminal who I should have no knowledge of will die of a heart attack in 40 seconds. And the witness to my alibi is L.
But the question is, that bag of chips is not that big. And how did that bag of chips last so long?
All right, just a little bit longer.
Or is he a slow eater?
Ryuzaki.
Yes, what is it, Watari?
Again, look at L's poor posture.
On suspicion of embezzlement and a purse snatcher being held in a detention center were broadcast on the news. They both just died of sudden, inexplicable heart attacks. It's him again.
While all that
Light's
was
chest
happening
move.
at your home, your wife and daughter were watching television. When that was over, they turned the TV off and didn't watch anything afterwards. From just past 7:30 until now, 11 o'clock, your son's done nothing but study.
3.5
Kira needs
hours.
a name and a face. Without those, he can't kill. So I suppose anyone who didn't watch the news can't be Kira, right?
You said it yourself. That means my family has been cleared.
Is
It
it?
doesn't make sense that Kira would kill two petty criminals right after their identities were broadcast. I know it's only the first day after the cameras were installed.
Somehow,
but the Yagami household
wow.
seems almost too innocent to me.
Wow. It's too clear, which makes it actually suspicious. Dude, L is so good. Again, highly probabilistic web detection without hard proof.
Okay, so if you've got any, bring it down with you, okay?
What a pain.
What are you talking about? I usually say there's no need to remind me, Mom.
I'll be dead if L somehow goes through his trash. That will be too much, dude. Is L that smart? Maybe.
Oh, I can't say for sure whether you're extremely generous or just a spoiled brat. But didn't that mini LCD TV cost you $400?
Damn! $400? Oh, they can't even go through it because it's gonna be crushed by the dumpster. Oh, GG, dude. There goes the evidence. Dude, Light just disposed a mini whatever CCTV monitor. That's $400, dude. That's half an iPhone. And the evidence was crushed, and there goes paper trail. He literally stood by the balcony to ensure that any remaining evidence is crushed literally into pieces. Wow. This was a amazing episode in so many ways, and I'm really glad that I tried dub out. Initially, it definitely took some getting used to, but the tonality, like I said, I was able to pay more attention to their facial expressions, to some of the subtle verbal cues, because I didn't have to read the subtitles by being able to just listen in. So I do see why so many people prefer dub over sub. Of course, I've been team sub since day one, but I really appreciate you guys bearing with me and allowing me to try and experiment with this episode. So I see why a Death Note dub is highly praised upon and viewed as one of the best. It's really, really, really well done. Anyway, if you enjoy my analysis for this video, smash a thumbs up. And I hope you can share this episode with one friend. Maybe some of your friends will watch this because it's dub over sub. And as always, I really appreciate you tuning in. And I hope to see you again in the next week's video. Until next time, peace.